Everybody, welcome to My Other's Keeper. I have my sister, Glynnis, on the show with me today, and we are going to discuss over the last, what is it, a year and a half or so, maybe
Year and a
2 years
half.
almost.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Yeah,
Okay, almost
year
two
and a
years.
half.
Okay, now my camera's got me way too bright. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
I'll move forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there we go. So over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, hi, Mary. Um, Glennis's husband has been going through cancer and the related treatment and that kind of stuff. And we're going to discuss her life as a caregiver of that. We'll talk about some of his symptoms and such. Uh, Remember, if there's anything you want to chat about, please just put it in the chat. I'm going to really try to interact more with the chat as we go, but please keep in mind that your what you can see in the chat, what I can see in the chat, takes a few extra seconds. So
Yeah.
please
And
don't
I
be
can't see
upset.
it all.
And
So
Glennis can't see it at all.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, if it takes a few extra seconds, please be kind, rewind.
yeah.
I mean, be kind and let me
Yeah.
know.
And
So Mary's here, Crystal's here, and Crystal she's has some emotional support animals, and
Oh,
Mary has a daughter who has autism, who's now
okay.
married and is living
Okay.
a good life.
Yeah.
And Mary herself has fibromyalgia. So
Okay.
both of them understand very well what it's like to need support as well as to give support.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Those
that's
will
really
be
great.
those will be conversations that you can have in the future.
Oh, I
Very,
have had.
very
No,
interesting.
we have done them.
Oh,
It
good.
just goes to show you have not been watching my channel, my
I
sweet.
have not. I'm sorry. I have not.
Anyway, yes, Mary's adult daughter was just adopted by her stepdad, now dad, today. Hallelujah. That is just a wonderful thing. We're so excited for you, Mary. I
Fantastic. That is exciting. That's so
Yes, I
good.
wasn't able to go online with you live. I was in the middle of teaching at that time, but I am so glad that that went through today. I saw the
Oh, well,
so exciting.
congratulations. That is a huge addition. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that adults can be adopted. You don't
Yes,
have to do it before they're 18.
that's right.
So, yeah, that
No,
may
it's not
vary
as
in the United States, state to state,
right.
but I believe in Canada, it's all over Canada, I think.
I yeah. I
Yeah.
yeah. I have zero, relation to or background in. So
Yeah.
I got
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So my sister, my sweet sister, um, tell us how did this whole cancer journey start? Her husband's name is Cam,
Yep.
and so we're going to talk about Cam as if he is not here because he is not.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Exactly.
first of all, before we talk about that, tell us a little bit about him. Tell us
A
who
little
he
about
is. Yeah,
my husband. Okay.
yeah.
He he's kind of 95 kinds of wonderful, and he is the youngest child in his family. He's very. I never got to meet either of his parents. They had both passed before we met. Um, but yeah, he's the youngest in his family. He was born at the very end of 1961. Um, he I don't know. I hate questions like this. Tell us about yourself. I never know
I
what
know.
to
Here,
say.
have a great big question that you have to take a bite out of. Okay, so
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is. You've told us when he was born.
yeah.
Where is he from?
He born and raised in Calgary. He has never lived anywhere other than in Calgary. He live right now. Our house is about 5 kilometers from the house that he lived when he was born. So
Wow. So that's for those
yeah,
of you
he's
in the
just
American market, that's about 2 miles.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Just so very close.
really close.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
basically, and you're there.
yeah, pretty
So,
much. Yeah, pretty much.
yes.
He
All
has
right.
two elder brothers. He has no sisters.
Okay.
And both of his brothers also live there's one in the city, just
Mm-hmm.
like a couple of miles from us.
Mm-hmm.
And then one just in a community outside of Calgary, but still kind
Mm-hmm.
of in its environs kind of concept.
Mm. Okay.
So they're all fairly close together geographically, but they don't communicate
Mm.
like every day. They're not a close family relation wise. I mean, they have affection for each other, certainly,
Yeah.
but they're not the kind of, I can't go a day without talking to my family. They're just not that kind of
But
family.
neither are we, really. I mean,
Exactly. Thus, I haven't
really
seen a lot
social.
of.
I've talked to you maybe once a month,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
We'll talk a little more frequently if there's something that the two of us want to talk to our sister Tanya about.
Yes.
And our conversations then are long conversations. So maybe once a month they're good conversations. It's not like,
Yes.
how you doing? I'm fine. Okay, bye.
Yeah, exactly. I need this, and oh, okay, I'll send it to you, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I'm really grateful for the type of communication, for the type of relationship that we've been able to develop over these years as adults.
Yes,
As kids, it was really tough, but as
it
adults,
was.
we've lived quite apart.
Mhm.
And as each of us has matured, it has
Yeah.
been much nicer.
Yeah.
So Mary is saying that she's looking forward to the topic tonight. Her husband's been called dad since their wedding in 2007 and treated her as his daughter. So we made it official today. What a
Oh,
blessing. Is it ever a
that
blessing?
is
Absolutely.
congratulations, Mary.
Yes.
That is so wonderful for your family.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
to celebrate. So,
So
so
your husband, what sort of work does he do?
he's a CPA and CMA. Back when he
Which
got his
means what?
degree, they are certified. Um, Certified professional accountant and
Hmm.
certified management accountant. Back when he got his degrees, they were separate. Now, in the last probably 30 years or so, they're a combined degree.
Mm.
He has a bachelor's degree, a bachelor's of commerce, but he is both CPA and CMA, which is more commonly just a CPA now.
Yeah,
He
so
is,
now it's a certified public accountant.
I think, yes, I think so. Professional accountant or CPA is this the kind of the designation.
Okay.
Um, he he's working for a national company right now, basically just doing financial analysis,
Hmm.
financial systems. He's not a tax accountant. He sends his taxes out for someone else to do. Um, yep. Yeah. I mean, he'll do our personal taxes with
Oh,
like
yeah.
tax software, but he also has
Same.
a personal corporation, whatever, that he gets someone else to do those.
Right.
But yeah, he just financial accounting systems and financial
Hmm.
recording systems, things
Hmm.
like that. Which is kind of what he's doing right now. I don't want to name the company, but it is a national type
It's
company.
one you have heard of.
It will be one that you have heard of. At
Yes.
least you'll have heard of the products. You'll recognize
Yes.
the name of some sort. So yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's a
uh,
good idea not to mention the company though, because we don't want to get sued for
that's it.
like that kind of hoo-ha.
We
Anyway,
just don't want to,
no.
get in trouble.
Okay.
But
So what does
yeah,
he do for fun? What are some of his interests and hobbies?
he's a photographer. He does a lot of
Hmm.
photography. He's a writer. He's written 2 books.
Hmm.
One marginally more successful than the other. The other one was a real rush job. It's kind of painful to think of it, but he is
Which
a
one was
writer.
his
He's
rush job, the first or second?
the second one.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah,
The one
really,
he did
really,
at your wedding?
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Because
no,
he had
I
that
just heard,
deadline. We wanted to have it done and back to us
honestly,
in time for the
I
wedding.
preferred the second one.
Yeah,
Maybe because it was more personal.
maybe.
That
Yeah,
could be why.
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
Um, otherwise, yeah. Um, I guess that's probably kind of his two most major active kind of hobbies. He has
Okay.
interests in trains and planes, not
Mm.
automobiles, trains and planes. He and his dad had model trains from when he was a kid. His dad had interests in the same planes and trains, and
Hmm.
Cam just kind of gained those from him.
Hmm.
Um, we both have a very strong interest in historical things, antiques,
Hmm.
history, natural history, geopolitical history, things like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's why at the wedding that we had was at our local historical um,
Park.
park,
Yeah.
and we kind of aimed for a kind of a period dress kind of a concept, but yeah, but
And
then
she sewed her own wedding dress that was Edwardian style.
yeah,
The
it was
kid
a
has some skills.
yeah,
Just saying.
yeah, it was a recreation of it was a recreation of a photo of a dress that I saw on Pinterest. It's like a 1915 dress that I looked at and I thought, I love it. And so it took a little while, but I I had to kind of draft and develop patterns and okay, I want it to look draped this way. How am I going to get it to do that? So it wasn't
Mhm.
even just sort of get a pattern out of an envelope and put it together. It was something that I had to draft and create kind of to get started.
Yeah,
So
and collect all the different elements and that kind of stuff. So
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So
So
my version of art is this.
yeah,
Her version of art is sewing.
yeah. And
It's just
this, I made this top as well.
oh, there you go. Yeah. And hey, Matrix, how you doing?
Hi.
He's also known as Todd, so you can call him
Hi,
Todd or
welcome.
Matrix, whichever
Yeah.
you prefer. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you are also an artist, my friend. Is that correct? So today, though, we are going to talk about Cam's cancer diagnosis
Hmm.
and the care of him over the intervening time. So
Right.
let's talk a little bit about how that started, how
Okay.
it was found, and all of that.
Okay. Get that timeline kind of established.
Yeah.
So back in early, probably about this time of year, 2 years ago in 2022, um, we noticed I noticed actually a mole, a birthmark that he'd had all of his life, a very dark birthmark, down low on his left hip, kind of below the belt line kind of thing. So it's not something that was, had a lot of sun exposure. It was always covered by pants and everything. But I happened to notice, just because of where it was, he can't see it. So I happened to notice that it was kind of something had changed about. I think the it had started to thicken a little bit, had started to kind of swell a little bit, and
Oh.
yeah. So we thought maybe it was just because it was rubbing on his pants or something. It was irritated or something. Oh, okay, fine. So we kind of whatever. So every couple of weeks I'd look at it again. It's like, oh, okay, well it's a little puffier, it's a little more swollen, and oh, is that
Hmm.
a little white spot kind of on the top of it? So it was like, okay, let's start taking pictures of this thing and see what happens. Um, then it would really get irritated, and it did kind of rub raw a little bit on the inside of his jeans, and so yeah, eventually, so finally, after a couple of months, and it noticeably changing. And it started to get redder, and that reddish kind of pinkish skin kind of emerging,
Mm-hmm.
where it used to be very black, very dark, very heavily
Oh.
medicated. So
So how
finally,
frequently did you take photos?
I would say probably once a month.
Okay.
I would say
It
probably
would
give or
be
take once a
enough
month.
of a change that would
Yeah,
be
exactly.
obvious.
Yeah, exactly. So then in August, late July, early August, um, he had an appointment with his family doctor, his general practitioner,
Hmm.
and his doctor looked at it and said, "Yeah, I'm going to send you to a dermatologist, like right away." Okay,
Mm.
so yeah, so he got the referral to his dermatologist. very, very early part of August. And he got to the dermatologist, and she took one look at it and said, yeah, that's coming off today. And I mean, it was big, like size of my thumbnail kind of size. Like it wasn't just a
Wow.
little tiny little pimple. Like it was big. Like, but it had
Okay.
always been that general size, right?
Yeah.
But she took one look and said, yeah, that's coming off today. So she excised that out, and stitched it up and send it off for biopsy. And 3 or 4 days later, August 8th,
That was quick.
yes, it was very quick, quicker than we expected. It was at work, and he got the phone call, and she said to him, this is never the news I want to give, but it has come back with melanoma.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the encouraging thing was, in the sample that they were given, the margins were clear. And I want to explain that, meaning the margins, the outside margins of the actual tissue sample that they got had no evidence of cancer cells. So
Fabulous.
all of any particular cancer cells were contained inside that sample. Okay. So that was a very good indication that it had not spread beyond the size of what was, what was submitted, right? What was biopsied. So that was the first encouragement, was that those margins were clear, that everything that, that had been tested were contained in the sample itself. So it was all encouraging.
Okay.
So she just, okay, so we're going to send you off to this and this and this special. First, we're going to, send you to an oncologist here in the city. We have, in the province of Alberta, there are 2 major cancer centers, one here in Calgary called the Tom Baker Center, and one in Edmonton, the Cross Cancer Institute. And those 2 cancer centers are probably 2 of the best in the country. So we are very, very, very fortunate to be where we are, that he has access to just extraordinary care.
Okay, I have another question for you real quick.
Yes. Yes.
The part that was excised, it wasn't just surface skin that was taken out. How deep was it, and how deep did the cancer tumor go?
It went down, well, I want to say the full thickness of the skin. The wound itself looked a lot deeper than it might be, but when you consider that your skin is only, like, full thickness of skin might be half a centimeter.
So 5 millimeters, which would be like a quarter.
So it was about, roughly 5 or so centimeters or 5 millimeters of like surface skin to the bottom. Right. But then, of course, remember that this mole had puffed up and raised.
Oh, had raised.
Yes. Right. So the only kind of reference that we had was that it was full skin thickness. So the piece itself might have been 8 or 9 millimeters in height, but the thickness of skin was down to 5 or so millimeters, and it was full thickness. So it was significantly deep. And all that. The
tumor was.
Yes. Yeah. The cancer cells were found. It wasn't even so much a tumor. It was just that cancer cells were found.
Okay. So not really okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a nugget of a tumor like you think of, like a lung cancer or something that, they cut out the tumor, like a breast cancer tumor. It doesn't, it was never like an encapsulated nugget of cancer cells. It was just kind of a collection of, scattered-ish kind of. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a fair question. Perfectly fair question. But yes, that it was full thickness. And
another question.
Yep.
Our dog had skin cancer. It was T-cell cancer. Do humans get that, or is that just an animal thing?
That I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for. I can't have an answer for that. Yeah, unfortunately.
All right.
But yeah, but never mind that the cancer cells were found full thickness, but it had also ulcerated up the top. So that could have been kind of more of like that full thickness of the sample perhaps had cells
Right.
throughout that.
Right. Sorry, I'm going to look for my phone and Google it. I can't look for my phone and Google it, apparently. Okay, you continue.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, so within just a matter of days, weeks, like a couple of weeks, I think it was 10 days or something, he had his first appointment with the oncologist here at Tom Baker Center in Calgary. That basically, okay, this is our steps forward. This is what options are available to us. These are choices that we need to make. I'm trying to remember, like from my point of view, from my perspective, what I remember of these happening. He has it. I mean, he has it down to the day, and but
he's the kind of guy who remembers that sort of thing.
He is, but then of course it happened to him. So this is so much more
truly,
affected him. But yeah, it was kind of a rush of, okay, we're going to do a second excision surgery called the wide local excision, which basically takes the place where his initial, tumor was tissue was taken out. They're going to then remove a certain, amount of tissue, like, sample here. They're going to take this much of, wide margins, wide local excision. So basically they're just going to take what's already been taken, which was this by whatever, and closed up. Now they're going to take up to 4 centimeters or 2 or something centimeters beyond that, and down to full thickness, down to the muscle layer.
Oh, wow. Right. Like right through all of the adipose and.
Yes. Yeah. All through that. Okay. So, so that was a little bit more substantial, but then he was also offered, he was qualified to take part in a trial program that was happening, where they're kind of examining how much of a second margin is required, how much is how much works, how much can we get away with, how little can we get away with, right? So they had the option of
take this size for this size tumor, or can we get away with this size for this?
Basically they had the choice of 2 a 1 centimeter margin or a 2 centimeter margin, or I forget what numbers it was now. He can tell you. But do we take this centimeter margin, or do we have to take this centimeter margin? Well, he was randomized into the smaller centimeter margin. Okay. So that's what he had done. First part of September. And that also came back clear margins. But then, the first step that they did right away, as soon as he got to the oncologist, and as soon as the dermatologist came back with this, they sent him for an MRI. Oh, yes, they sent him for a head MRI. Oh, okay. First thing, and they were very, very clear to say, this is not because we suspect that there is anything, but if there is, we need to know. Okay. It was just to rule out the worst case scenario possibility. So yes, that happened first of all. And yes, that came back everything clear. I'm just going to say everything that has been done, everything tested, everything has all been clear, with one exception I'll get into. But all the major, everything has all been perfectly clear all along the way, except for one. So the head MRI came back completely clear. Okay, so like I said, just eliminating that that worst case possibility. So thankful for that.
Yeah.
So then after that, he had a PET scan of the area of the excision, plus kind of a full body thing. Now we're starting to monitor, okay, well, how contained are we? Is it here, or has it possibly metastasized elsewhere? That came back negative. That came back
Good.
with one exception. There was,
and it's not all negative, is it?
well, but it hadn't spread to like to liver, lungs, stomach, heart, pancreas, and nothing like that. No wider body metastases. Okay. But what they did then was a lymph node biopsy. They'll take the nearest lymph node to the location of the original tumor, the original spot.
Right.
They'll take the nearest lymph node to that and biopsy that. That one did come back with 2 very small spots of cancer cells.
Yeah.
But I described this to you after, is that okay? Well, one spot was like a 0.3 millimeter, and one spot was like a 0.7 millimeter. Take a mechanical pencil and make a dot on a piece of paper. Depending on the mechanical pencil that you have, like just a single dot, depending on the size of the lead of that mechanical pencil, that's the size of this cancer cells spot that they found. So 0.7 millimeters, you can still see that, to the naked eye. So when you're thinking of cells, that's kind of almost a significant size, right?
Right.
So that
it's
was
nothing
a little.
It's nothing to sneeze at. It's definitely
No, it's not something. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's not, significantly worrisome. We need to do, major surgery. But okay, it was something there. So that was basically the definition, and that what brought us to the staging of his cancer. So was that brought it to a stage 3.
Okay.
A stage 1 melanoma or skin cancer is just completely surface level. Okay. Most squamous cell, most, very surface level. Stage 2 is what's just contained to like the mole itself. Okay. That clear margins, that initial thing.
Right.
A stage 3 is anything that has traveled beyond the margins of that initial tumor. A stage 4 cancer is any cancer that metastasizes elsewhere into the body, into another organ perhaps, or another, or another limb, or elsewhere. That's stage 4.
Is a metastasized skin cancer something that's common or not?
With melanoma, it is. Melanoma is different from like a basal cell carcinoma or a squamous cell carcinoma, because melanoma is a cancer of the melanin cells, the colored cells. Okay, your birthmarks, your freckles, your any colored.
So basically,
Yes. Yeah, the colored cells in your skin. That's melanoma. Okay.
Right.
So it is treated differently, and it has different expectations and different behaviors than like a basal cell carcinoma or a squamous cell carcinoma. Those are different. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of where we stood at that point. It was staged. It was stage 3 and 3C because of the depth of the initial tumor, the depth of the initial cancer. So that's what brought us to that. It was his initial surgical oncologist. She said it was so minor. I don't even want to stage it at 3 because it was so small, so minor. But by definition, it had to be stage 3 because it had moved to the lymph node, because it had moved just beyond the margins of, its initial location. So, okay, we get that. But yeah, so that's where we kind of stood at that point. So that once we had that kind of established, okay, this is where it's at. This is what's been found. This is kind of the state we're in. Where do we go from here? What treatment do we have going forward? What is available to us?
Right.
So then we get into the medical oncologist, who said chemotherapy, radiotherapy is not going to be necessary. So, yeah, yes, very thankful because that can get kind of ugly. But what was available? Oh, yes. What was available is immunotherapy. This is something that has been developed in the last 6 or 8 years. It really has only been developed in the last 6 or 8 years as a medical treatment, not an intervention, but a medical treatment involving the immune system of the body to interrupt or to combat cancer cells as they appear. Yeah. Another one of the tests that they did was a DNA test for a particular DNA marker called the BCRA, and he tested positive for the DNA marker for melanoma.
Oh,
yes. So this is something that BRA, I believe it was. Sorry.
Okay.
But he tested positive for that DNA marker. So he was able to go to his brothers and say, okay, this is in our DNA. This may be something that you should keep in mind going forward.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Keep an eye out.
That's just, keep in mind it's a possibility. We have wouldn't say a family history, but there's this that I have discovered. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the immunotherapy that his medical oncologist recommended, there was 2 options. One was going to, the one that we didn't choose, so I don't remember as much about it, had the risk of more side effects.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was my phone's going off. I thought maybe it was maybe Cam interrupting me or informing me. But no, the one that had more side effects was a little bit more systemic. The medical oncologist, the oncologist figured, no, I don't think that's going to be really kind of in your best interest. It's not going to be what you need. What I am going to recommend,
a shotgun or a
that's a good way to put it. Kind of more scattershot rather than focused. But the one that he did elect to take. Where did you go? Okay. So it's suddenly just me in the feed, so I'm not sure where she went, but we'll wait.
Somebody's at my door. I need to go answer the door.
Okay, you do that, and I will explain this. So this immunotherapy that he elected to do, the drug is called nivolumab. It is sold with the brand name Opdivo. That might be another name that may come up. It's called nivolumab. And basically what it does is it works with and on his immune system for his body to identify cancer cells and combat them. Cancer cells have a very nasty habit of trying to disguise themselves in the systems of the body to trick or to fool the immune system to ignoring it. But this nivolumab, helps your body to identify those cancer cells more easily and combat them. It is not, again, it's not chemotherapy. It's not anything. It's not any kind of systemic, poison. It's nothing like that. It's a boost to his immune system to identify any cancer cells remaining. It's not given to patients that have an existing tumor or an identifiable cancer location. It's basically, it's in the event of, in the possibility of there being other cancer locations or cancer cells, the immune system will identify them and be able to deal with them more readily. So this is what we elected to do. It is given by injection in hospital, or in an outpatient, right? Once every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the nature, depending on the patient, whatever.
Depending on their response to it as well, is that?
Yes, yeah, very much. Yeah, okay. Exactly. So CAMs were every 4 weeks, and essentially it's a year's treatment. Well, 4 weeks, so 13 treatments, a year's treatment. Okay, a year's course. And we went through the side effects, the expected side effects of this. But again, remembering that this has only been developed over the last half dozen years at this point, right? So there are no long-term kind of reports and results, of this. So, but there are okay. We know in general terms that you can expect these things. Okay, rashes, sometimes at injection sites, or sometimes extended to the body. Right. Nausea, tiredness, constipation, breathing, sometimes breathing problems, sleep problems, and just any number of other kind of minor possible reported side effects. I mean, in any kind of drug side effects list, you're going to get anything. One patient, in the 10,000, 100,000 patients that we've done this to, one patient reported this side effect. Whether or not it was actually related to it or not, they reported it.
Well, so they have to, because
they have to. Yes, it has to be. Exactly. But so the side effects that Cam suffered, really, the side effects that he felt the worst were the nausea and just extreme fatigue. A little bit of a kind of a fuzzy-headed, kind of a not able to concentrate as long or as deeply as perhaps more minorly, but the nausea and the fatigue were the two worst ones that he dealt with.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was there any sort of associated hair loss or anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
No, he didn't get any of the rashes or dry mouth or
okay.
Yeah, thrush, yeast, whatever. Yeah, he never got any of that. So, yeah, and actually, and recently, I was made aware of when they're talking about this nivolumab treatment and the rashes that were possible. I actually managed to be introduced to a picture of a patient that had those body rashes, and it's not just a little sunburn, couple of no, it's body rash, and it's
oh my.
Yeah, it was like devastating. So I'm like, okay, now I understand what they're talking about, and now I'm very, very glad that you didn't experience this.
Certainly, yes,
it was,
certainly.
Yeah, it was really alarming to see that particular. Anyway, but that was not his thing.
So now that we've discussed what he had, let's go into your role as caregiver.
Yeah.
How and what changed around your home?
He had to stop working. That was kind of the first immediate thing. He worked as long as he could, as well as he was feeling, but he knew, I mean, he's able to tell his employer right away, okay,
For
this
sure.
has significantly changed. This is what I'm going to have to deal with going forward. So, okay, this is what we got.
Hmm.
Um, After only about 3 or 4 months, he had to take a medical leave because he just could not. He could not. I mean, he got down to
Mm.
where he was working maybe 2 days, a day and a half of working hours in a week because that's all he could kind of sit upright for.
Oh, for sure.
So that was a big hit. I don't work. I'm retired from working for my own mental state.
Hmm.
I'm not on any kind of medical leave or disability or anything. I don't work. So that was a really huge hit for the two of us and our family finances that he
Oh, for
wasn't
sure.
able to work either.
Oh, yeah.
And the so then everybody said, well, why don't you just, why didn't you go and get work? Mental state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just is not mentally healthy for me to be in a working environment. And I would love more than anything else to be able to contribute to that and to be useful. Oh my gosh. But
I totally
it's
understand.
yeah, it's just not worth the anxiety and the stress and the just the anguish that would put me through. It's just not worth
Hmm.
it. And he
Hmm.
understood that. He never,
Hmm.
ever, ever pressed me in any way to, I need you to go back to work or this needs to, he never once ever pressed me to have to go find work.
Right.
So immensely thankful for that. So that was kind of the biggest immediate um, struggle that we faced together was not having work. Um,
Right.
but thankfully enough, I mean, he had savings accounts and lines of credit and such, and we basically lived off lines of credit for better part of a year. It was,
Mm.
yeah, and this was, and remember, this is just shortly after COVID and all that lockdown, and he lost his job kind of halfway through lockdown to begin with,
Right.
and then he was out of work then for about 8 months.
Right.
Right, so he had been able to go back to work and make some income and start to replace that line of credit that we'd had to live
Hmm.
on for those 8 months, and then this
Hmm.
happens, and he hasn't had enough time to completely restore what we had to live on over lockdown.
And I hate to
So
say it, but it's possible that you may never be able to,
no,
just
exactly.
because of the amount, like a
Yeah,
year's worth of credit
yeah,
is significant.
it is. Yeah,
So
exactly.
like that's not something to just take lightly.
No,
It's not like a
it's
credit
not.
card that you're getting and paying off and getting and paying off. It's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it all adds up, and it just kind of
yeah.
all, yeah. So, but that was the biggest thing. Um, and then it was a matter of, okay, what can I do when he's kneeling over a toilet, you know, bringing up last Christmas dinner? It seems like,
In
what can I
February. Yep.
do for you? Oh no,
Yeah.
this would have been his
No,
first.
in February picking up last Christmas dinner.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Because yeah, his first Nevo treatment was in December of 2022.
Mm,
So
hmm.
essentially, essentially 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around February, March, as he's kneeling over a toilet, bringing up Christmas dinner. It seems, what can I do? What I can't take it away from him. Um, I can offer him ginger tea. And that's what I did a lot of. Okay, what can I do for you? He's
Hmm.
also autistic. So
Hmm.
his, what do you need? Open-ended questions like that are just devastating. They're impossible. What do you need?
It's
Okay,
too big
that
a
doesn't
question.
help. You know,
Yeah.
can I make uh, tea for you, or would you like a hot pad? Like, give him the two options. Okay, yes, I'll take tea, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, but what can I offer? What can I do?
Right.
You know,
Right.
is yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It was just, I think that's, to me as the caretaker, was the most difficult. Was, what can I do? You feel so helpless, you know,
Absolutely.
because I'm not the one feeling it, so I feel fine, but he's not. And then as his energy starts, I mean, consistently flags down, and
Mhm.
as his fatigue ramps up, you
Mhm.
know, yeah, it's just having patience. Is walking through the grocery store. It's you know, excuse me, we're walking like a couple of very old people because he has to go. So he can only go so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
Okay. So offering him things that you can. What else changed around your home? What else did you
Um,
find that ended up becoming, was there anything that became a new habit that you hadn't had before, or have things just kind of gone back to where they were?
well, yeah, it's the slowing down the pace, um,
Mhm.
and what can he do or not do. We enjoy gardening, and we
Mhm.
enjoy our outside. We enjoy our flower beds and planting. And that particular spring, he just couldn't do it. So we had to kind of stage that one back a little bit. Okay, I would
Mhm.
love to, buy all the plants and put them all in the garden. First of all, without the income, we couldn't afford to buy all the plants that I
For
wanted to.
sure.
And
Yeah.
then he doesn't have the energy or the incentive to get out there more than 10-20 minutes at a time
Right.
to dig up anything, or
Yeah.
so that was a major change. Is our garden looked very differently last year than it would have
Mhm.
in years past. um,
Mhm.
yeah, just the pace of things. Like I said, walking through a grocery store just started to look a lot different. Um,
Right.
our um, our our diet, our foods tended to be a little more careful, because
Mhm.
what could he eat that wasn't going to set him
Mhm.
off? But then at the same time, I'm hungry, but I'm afraid to eat because I just know I'm just going to bring it back up in three
Yep.
hours time. You know, and it was just a matter of, okay, timing. If he eats now and takes a Gravol then, or I mean, he got medications for for nausea and such. He got some pretty strong ones.
Yeah.
So okay, it's okay. What can he eat? What can't he eat? When to eat?
Mhm. How
Yeah, a little.
frequently? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, frequent small ones, or can he
Mhm.
sit down and have a pork chop dinner, or most
My
of a pork
guess is
chop?
no.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if I give him a plate of dinner, how much is he going to be able to eat? And yeah, it's or
Yeah.
half or less.
Right.
But yeah, I guess it was just the pace, and having to have the patience, and adjusting what activities can he do and what just is just not going to be possible now. So
Mhm.
yeah, the
So
big
how
one
has
that
this, sorry?
the big one that changed is we had planned to take a trip down to Vegas to a particular event.
Yeah.
Yes, we had planned to take a trip down to Vegas to a particular event that happens probably once a year for about 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And when that was announced and came available, it was like, oh, we just can't do it. Just cannot do it. I mean, the time frame of the event was between
Mhm.
two of his treatments, but the problem is,
Mhm.
if while we were there he picked up any infection or picked up any kind of adverse anything and brought it back with him, that would
Yeah.
mess up treatments going forward again, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was just not going to be an option.
Oh,
So
exactly.
we had to bypass that very major event last year, and we were not happy having to do it. Yeah, unfortunately, the event
No.
has not been announced for this coming year, so it's still possibly in the future. But
Okay.
someday, someday we'll get to this event.
So
Yeah.
have any of these new habits become lifestyle habits now, or are you back to previous habits? Because essentially it was, he was going to get the cancer regardless, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he did something. It's not like he needed to quit smoking or he needed to do
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
So have
Right.
you essentially gone back to previous practices, or have you
I think
developed new normal?
we've adjusted kind of expectations. Finances
Okay.
are still But I think that's just going to be a thing going forward. Our finances, we just
Exactly.
cannot live and spend like we did 5 years ago. It's
That's right.
just not possible.
Yeah.
And I think just the lifestyle of being taking it a little slower. We
Mhm.
we got so used to it, and it's like I'm okay with that. I don't have to be rushing and doing all the things. I
Right.
would like to see my garden again. Like I would like to do
Yeah.
more with my garden again, but again with the finances. But his his energy and his just his physical feeling has come back a lot. So it's
Mm.
been very encouraging. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were walking through Costco, and I actually happened to notice, you're walking a lot quicker, a lot faster than you had been 6 months ago.
Nice.
Which just plodding so slow. And I walk fast to begin with, so this was a real adjustment for me. I get ahead of him and I have to come back. And I get ahead of him and I say, oh, he's so slow.
Yeah.
But no, he's able to keep up quite a bit better pace than
Much
he had
better.
been.
Okay,
That
good.
noticeably improved. So
Wow.
yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, a little bit of a slower pace has not hurt our feelings. We would like to travel, and as an opportunity comes up again, maybe we'd like to be able to do that again.
Right.
Yeah, it just that possibility hasn't quite been faced yet, so we're still not quite there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. He's also had some recent diabetic changes. Would that
Yeah.
be at all brought back to his cancer and treatments and stress from that, perhaps?
It is a possibility. Yeah. In
Okay.
just this past Christmas, let's give a little background on that. This past Christmas, he ended up in hospital with pancreatitis. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So late October, early November, we
Mhm.
started to notice his blood sugar. He's type 2 diabetic. We both are. But late October, early November, we noticed his blood sugar creeping up like significantly higher.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, I think it was in early November, his A1C came back. It was like over 11,
Oh,
which
wow.
usually is supposed to be like under 6. Okay. 6 to 7 is diabetic. Anything under 6 is pre diabetic or non diabetic. His was at 11. Okay. So that is
Mhm.
significant.
Mhm.
When I was diagnosed diabetic, I was 12.4.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was 15.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, what that tells you also is that these numbers have been high for longer
Long
than we
time.
expected,
Yeah.
because your A1C is an average of 3 months
Yes.
of blood sugar kind of numbers in the body.
Right.
So, this A1C of 11 basically indicates to me that his blood sugar has been high for significantly longer than we had expected. We had just been lazy and just hadn't been taking his blood sugar numbers for
Right.
like months before. So, whatever.
Mhm.
Well, all of a sudden it came back. So, so then his doctor's okay. Well, let's give you this med, try to bring it down. Let's adjust
Mhm.
this and try to bring it down. Well, no, that didn't work,
Mhm.
and that didn't work, and it didn't work. So then I would say early part of December, middle of December,
Mhm.
suddenly he was getting blood sugar readings of like 20s, 22, and they're supposed to
Mm.
be like below, like a spot blood sugar test should be between 7 and 8. Eh? Or depending on if you've eaten or not, anywhere between 5 and about 8, depending on how long it's been since you ate and all that.
Right.
So, um, yeah, he was starting to get numbers in the 20s. So
Mhm.
this was a significant,
Mhm.
significant rise, which was
Mhm.
alarming. And it wasn't coming down, and it wasn't coming down.
Mhm.
So
That's
yeah,
significant.
yeah, your sound is like gone. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but your sound is like
Is
not.
that any better?
It is, but when you're leaning close, it was
Oh,
you
okay.
did something weird. Okay,
I
anyway.
will sit like this and not get close.
Yeah. So the weekend before Christmas,
Mhm.
um, he took his blood sugar test, and it was 30 something, 30 point something.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to the hospital. And yeah, our daughter had arrived for the Christmas week the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So she was there at the house. And
Mm-hmm.
our two sons were supposed to be coming in the next few days, staggered a little bit. So we get to the hospital and they try to keep us. And they did a bunch of other blood tests, whatever thing. And his potassium was extremely high, like critically high.
Oh, wow.
A potassium level of 7 is considered fatal.
What was
Normally,
that?
it's about 3 to 4. 7
Okay.
is considered fatal. His was 6.7.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
how's that happy?
yeah, so we're going to treat that immediately, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a mess. It was a really critical mess in
So
those couple of days.
gratefully,
So
his sugars were high,
yeah,
so we could get the potassium and whatever else dealt with.
exactly. Yeah. So there's potassiums, there's sodiums, then there's the blood sugar. So he was in a bit of a mess that particular day. I mean, it was worse than we had ever. Well, we knew the blood sugars were high, sure, but it was so
All
much worse than anything we would have ever even guessed.
mm-hmm.
It was scary. So he was admitted to hospital that night.
Yeah.
And yeah. It was a week. He was over Christmas. The week over Christmas, he was in hospital and begun on insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and it was kind of toward the end of the week, as you know, as tests come, potassium comes down, yay, quickly enough. Sodium's back to normal. All the rest of the kind of the enzymes get kind of back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But the blood sugar stays high, so he goes on insulin. So that's a slow and steady, very, very gradual introduction to insulin. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And do you
Yeah. Oh,
understand the reason that they do it so slowly?
yes. Yes.
What was that?
Because too much insulin at a time can cause brain damage. So
Okay.
we want to avoid that. Yeah.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
just frustrated me to no end when it was so
Yes.
slow. And the
Yeah.
doctors I knew, do not try to go faster because you
No.
can get brain damage, significant brain damage from that.
Yes, exactly. And I didn't realize that until you and I were talking about it,
Mhm.
and I was expressing how frustrating it was. Okay, because his numbers are still high, and it's just they're not doing enough. And
Yeah,
Kim's like, just trust the process. They have to do it this way. They
yeah.
need to do it this way because it's the safest. Okay, fine.
So funny.
But then when I understood, it's like, oh, okay, I get that now. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you for helping me to understand that.
It is,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, and also while he was in hospital, he tested positive for COVID.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
beyond
word,
all the
yes.
rest of this stuff, now all of a sudden he's having to get antivirals. Yeah, he managed to test positive for COVID. First time.
Okay.
Actually.
Oh, wow. What a great thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I came home. I came home after spending that day with him, and this just keeps getting better and better. It just never ends. Now he's got COVID. Oh my Lord.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how are things now? He's still on insulin?
He is still on insulin.
Is
It
he still
wasn't.
being checked for any further tests for cancer?
He will have regular checks. I mean, throughout the rest of his life. I mean, he'll be seeing a
Okay.
dermatologist twice a year for the rest of his life.
Because
He'll
it's
be
in the DNA, I imagine?
well because it's not also just because he has the history now.
Right. Okay.
It just now he has the history. It's just going to be a thing.
Okay.
He will be seeing the surgical oncologist for this test thing that he did. He'll be seeing probably 2 or 3 times a year for probably the next 10 years. You know, just because of the I think of the name of it is suddenly out of my brain. Um, yeah, it's a very clinical trial because he's participated in that clinical trial. Now it's at the stage of, okay, now we've done the thing. Now what is our ongoing, results of this?
I'm
What's
just
our
going to say hi
research?
to Misha real closely. She just popped in, said hello. She's been suffering from migraines really badly over the last not that long.
Okay, I'm
But
sorry,
she
who
wanted
was this?
to say hi. Migraines.
Oh, and who? Sorry,
Misha,
Michelle.
awakened by the looking glasses reflection.
Okay, okay.
Yes. So thank you for stopping in, Misha. I really appreciate
Thank you for
that.
stopping, Michelle. Yeah, sorry about the
Please
migraine.
continue, my sister. Yeah, migraines suck.
Oh, they
Yeah,
really, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so this is kind of where he's at going forward. Is he's just always going to be monitored from
Mm-hmm,
any number of different professionals, ongoing,
mm-hmm.
for many, many, many years going forward. So
Okay,
this will just be a part of our lives now for the rest of our lives. You know, I
that's
guess
fair.
like diabetes. It's just like diabetes. I mean, you're going to be treating diabetes in some way or another for the rest of your life,
That's
whether
right.
whether you take insulin or whether you're able to wean yourself off of it
Mm-hmm,
through diet and exercise. It's something
mm-hmm.
that is going to be a part of your life
Yeah,
forever now. And this is what's
yeah,
going to be part of our lives going forward forever now.
yeah.
Um, but the pancreatitis was thought at first, that was one of the very first things that we wondered if it wasn't a side effect of the nivolumab treatment.
Mm-hmm,
They did a lot of scans. They did ultrasounds. They did a lot of scans those first couple of days,
mm-hmm.
just to investigate, is this something that has moved to the pancreas? No, it was not. So that was one
Oh,
of the most major things that they were able to clear up. No, this is not something to do. It's not a metastasis of cancer. It's
and
not.
pancreatic cancer. Oh, that's bad stuff. You do know.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a Facebook friend, over the course of the last 6 or 8 months, passed away of
Mm-hmm.
pancreatic cancer.
And
And
probably only found out right when you first heard.
oh no, he had known he'd had it for a couple of years, but
Oh,
only a couple of years. I think from diagnosis to his passing might have been 3 years. It was.
okay.
It's a very, very aggressive cancer. So
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that
Grandma,
they
she
really.
found out. She found out, and within weeks to
Yeah,
maybe just over a month,
yeah,
it took her that quick.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, it
extraordinarily
can be
aggressive.
extremely aggressive. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was one of the first things that they wanted to eliminate for us,
Mhm.
and for their peace of mind, just for everything. We want to eliminate this as a
Absolutely.
possibility.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So their thought is it's stronger that it was one of the side effects of the nivolumab treatments, which was again one of the
Mhm.
side effects we were told to expect. That it could affect pancreas function and insulin
Mhm.
function. So it was something that we had been told at the outside was a
Okay.
possibility. I guess
Right.
that's what it was. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, my sweetie, I think we're good for the moment.
yeah,
Um, Thank you everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate everybody who came in, said hi, all of that. Misha, Crystal,
mhm,
Todd, Mum,
yeah. Thank you
and
everybody for being here.
Mary. I miss Mary.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you everybody.
Yeah. If you have a question that we haven't been able to cover or that I haven't mentioned or explained well enough,
Mhm.
please leave a comment and we'll get back to that and answer you as best I can. Because there's so much to it and around it and under it and about it that we could talk for hours about this.
Or
Um,
you can email me here.
yes.
My mother's keeper is at gmail.com.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
It's weird.
It's
Pointing
it's
up.
it's weird. It's yeah, over there. It's down there
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah, or yeah,
Somewhere below.
email or leave a comment here that I can address as well. I'll come
Yeah.
on with my YouTube account and
She's really good at doing that.
yeah, yeah, and I'll answer anything that you happen to think of or can explain anything that I didn't explain well enough or was confusing. Um, Oh, one thing I do want to say a couple of times. We are very, very, just inordinately fortunate that we live in Canada. Okay. Um, our medical bills have been nearly zero. I think we might have spent a total of about $145 through this entire process for parking. All of his treatment, all of his appointments, all of the drugs, meds, everything that he's ever been given or received, anything have been covered by socialized healthcare. So yes, we are so inordinately fortunate to live where we do. And I will never deny that. And I humbly accept that. Just wanted to make that distinction.
And Misha has said that tomorrow's National Siblings Day. She's glad that we have each other to celebrate with, and we have one more sister in Australia.
That's right.
Is it national or international? If it's national, then she can just go away.
Yeah. Well, no, Musha.
She's Canadian too. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll probably get in touch with her then as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And, thank you, everybody, for stopping by, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye.
See you then. Bye.